So I think one of the things that makes this podcast really special is that it's sponsored by a Black-owned brand. I think something we talked about in a previous episode was how it feels like before Black-owned brands didn't have a lot of visibility and also financial capacity to be able to invest in their influencers who help build them relationships online. And there's something really liberating about just being able to be involved in a project where Black-owned dollars are keeping the lights on, you know? What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
I feel like social media, especially TikTok and stuff, has definitely shed a light on a lot of Black-owned brands. Even Facebook groups really talk heavily about Black-owned brands, but a lot of fragrance Facebook groups are private, so I feel like they don't get as much exposure in a Facebook group as I would on TikTok. But now on TikTok, you see so many Black-owned fragrance brands. For example, Dawkins Aroma. I remember when I first started posting about them, no one really talked about them. Then all of a sudden, now they're doing so well. The owner is telling me about how many people have told her that they saw my video and stuff like that. And it's crazy to think about how social media can really change a brand.
There's a really kind of unfortunate storied history with how Eurocentrism in perfuming has excluded anybody who's not white, male, and has like a master's degree in chemistry, which has, at least in North America, created this flourishing self-taught scene. And it's something that's about 30 or 40 years old at its oldest. There's not a ton of research or work on it yet, but what it has created is this really wonderful independent spirit. And I don't want to speak for any of you, but I think it's indicative of the work that Black folks have to do to create space for themselves. And with the advent of TikTok and newer social media, it's really democratized. So we have really, wonderful brands in Sephora like Chris Collins, like Jackie Ina's Forever Mood. But there's some really cool indies out there too, like Maya Njai, who is Swedish and West African, creating fragrances based on the memories of her childhood. Or Zernel Gilly, who's a Chicago-based DJ trying to sort of take synesthesia and translate olfaction and sound together. But we don't hear about any of this. There's something insular about it. And if I can ask this question to all of you, do you feel like that's representative of, at least societally, feeling like Black folks have something more to prove to even get in the room where I think white folks, people who, come to a venture capital firm, it's like their ideas get funded without a glance?
Absolutely. I always tell you guys that the scene from Scandal, where her father's having a conversation with her and he's like, I always told you that you have to be what? And she's like, twice as good to get
half as much,
half as much or half the, recognition essentially. But yeah, I mean, that's just like a song we hear over and over, and it's something I feel like we no longer pity ourselves about, because it's become such a norm that it's just like a way of life. It's just something that's understood pretty much from the time that you're a child, that you do have to do, you have to work twice as hard to get any recognition regardless of the industry, and you have to be essentially like superhuman and a perfect person. You have to speak a certain way and dress a certain way and be socially acceptable, and you can't be ghetto, and you can't be a loudmouth, you can't be argumentative, you can't have too much of an opinion, you have to be docile in a sense. And so it's like I feel like we've kind of just grown accustomed to that and recognize that that is our reality. And I think that as soon as you are aware of that, is when you can really tap into your superpower of kind of like what Funmi had said the other day about, rather than trying to find a seat at the table, just building your own.
Mm-hmm. I love the celebration of self-taught perfumers. I think perfumery is an art that really depended a lot on accessibility. Not everyone could be trained to this degree. And I feel like that kind of like, there's a level of elitism. What is the word? Elitism. Tongue twister, elitism. But there's a lot of very talented, self-taught perfumers. Absolutely. And they're changing the game. They're shaking the table. And I love that they're getting their flowers.
Yeah.
I think some of it's just aspects of funding too, because I think a lot of the most popular brands, like when I've met the owners, they don't actually do any of the mixing. They're not perfumers themselves. Like Mona is not a perfumer. Maison Crivelli, when I met him, he's not a perfumer. Chris Collins is not a perfumer. They just have access to databases where they can work with talented perfumers. And then if you're not in a situation where you even work with perfumers, like with Brown Sugar Babe, they work with chemists. It's just about having the funds to be able to even tap into these resources. And I think that's kind of where a lot of maybe upcoming Black-owned brands have struggled a little bit, is access to the funds to be able to even use the best chemists or the best perfumers or the best manufacturing to be able to get into spaces where people want to purchase your things, you know.
And you've experienced that, I imagine, you know, with Exalté, is the funding process, to the extent you're willing to talk about it. I mean, this has been a joy for you, but I think also something akin to labor pains. I mean, that is just, it's been a wildly difficult thing to put into the world.
Yeah, you know, with Exalté, it was more of a collaboration, fortunately for myself, as far as not having to use my own personal dollars. This was a brand that's wanting to get into fragrance, so they wanted to kind of test the market to see, you know, how well received a product would be like if they put it out. I was very fortunate that they had access, once again, to a great perfumer, a manufacturer that was all done in France, which I love that. I also know that going into this, there would be a lot of pushback because as a Black creator, I think sometimes you're held to a higher standard as far as the type of product you put out. You're held to a lot of criticism regarding the price point of the product. And then just even your knowledge of, like, I felt really ashamed that I wasn't the perfumer for the longest time. I was like, gosh, are people going to take this project seriously? Until I started talking to other, like I said, other brand owners, Chris Collins, Mona, Thibaut Crivelli. They're not perfumers either. And no one respects them any less for not being in the lab actually mixing together the perfumes. Right. And I think that's something I've observed with other Black-owned brands, is that, like, they feel like they have to be the perfumer. Like, you know, they have to be the ones mixing the raw materials and sourcing. Have you experienced, like, have you observed that from other brands? Like,
for sure.
And I feel like it's also like a way that people feel like they always have to test your knowledge when you're Black. It's like, why can't I just exist here?
Yeah.
It's like you have to have some type of credibility for them to be like, oh, you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they're like, oh, do you have a chemistry degree? No, but
I like how this smells.
But Mona doesn't. You know, like, Chris Collins used to be a model. Like, these are not people that have chemistry backgrounds, but being a creative director really goes a long way in the creative process of creating, like, launching a fragrance. Like, you have to give the vision. Jade, you actually just had a project.
I feel like the person, even you might not be the person mixing everything together and being the perfumer, but you're the one who is directing and kind of, what's the word? You're leading the project. You're guiding them. You're telling them what you want. And for me specifically, I feel fortunate that I was working with Le Monde Gourmand, because I feel like nobody's gonna come at me and be like, why is this so expensive? And, like, they're not a luxury line. I will say that with making the fragrance, I made it smell like something that didn't cost $25 or whatever that even means. But it doesn't smell cheap. And it, like, for Le Monde Gourmand, I feel like it actually lasts. But I feel like I'm lucky because no one's gonna say that. And also the same thing was, like, I didn't have to put my own money into this. They're doing everything. I just kind of they just took my vision and made it come to life.
Right.
And I feel like that's a good way to kind of get your feet into it. But yeah, you give them the brief, and then after that, the perfumers do their job. They give you the perfume, you give them feedback, and you kind of work like that. It's a partnership.
Yeah.
Can we shout out some of our favorite Black-owned brands?
Let's do it.
I'm going to start with Anaxis Perfumes. The owner, CEO, is it Tyreek McDaniel. He has some of the most interesting fragrances. There's this one, it's called If You Know, You Know, which I feel like culturally is just, like, a cool thing to say. If you know, you know. But it smells like the most delicious, like, rum punch kind of fragrance. So
you should have brought a sample.
Exactly. Yeah, not to be cliche, but I really, really love Forever Mood. And you guys know I'm a huge fan of Jackie. And, like, as a person, as a business owner, I just really respect her hustle. And also, you know, going to the point that Funmi just made about, you know, she got criticized a lot, and, you know, basically her credibility and the price point and everything like that. And I don't know why it got so much backlash. And I think that she did a really good job at creating 4 scents that were, you know, unique enough from each other, unique enough from the market. I think that what's the yellow one? Hard to get. I think that's, like, a really, really unique, you know, take on, like, a vanilla kind of scent. And it was one that I thought was going to be, like, my least favorite of the 4. And I think that she just did, like, a really good job at, you know, bringing her vision and putting her into her bottles. And I'm happy to see that, you know, she's made it this far. And this is something everyone in the perfume community has been anticipating. We knew this was coming. So I'm very happy for her, and I love the fragrances.
I'm a huge fan of Chris Collins. I've met him a few times, and he's just such an amazing, like, just an amazing human. His background is with fashion, and I know he was a model for the longest time, but he's always had a passion for fragrance. And something that really stood out to me was that he mentioned being mentored by Killian Hennessy, which is incredible, because I'm sure that his mentorship helped link him up with amazing perfumers, you know, manufacturing. He's traveled all over the world to work with perfumers in different countries and getting his hands in the process, but he's not in the lab mixing the fragrances. Right. And there's a lot to be said about having creative direction, because you have to also know what your vision is that you're trying to execute and what your market will be interested in trying. Yeah, and so I think he has a really like sophisticated line. I think it's very elevated, and I think my favorite fragrance, I mean, it's a typical fragrance I would love, but Lost in Paradise, it has this really beautiful passion fruit note that I just want to take it with me somewhere. But he's really inspiring, but also just a great person. I wish him all the success.
I'd love to shout out Samar, their Samar pit crew. Debbie and Namoya are this really just exceptional queer couple who they're finalists for the Art and Olfaction Award as well. Wow. Garden Hoe is a delight.
I love that name.
They are also a brand that has decided to very transparently live their values. They donate portions of their profits in ways that brands that are L'Oreal backed don't do. They're engaged with the community with sort of substantive community engagement efforts, and they're just like, it's just, I love them to death, but it's also like, God, why do you two have to be so disgustingly happy together? That's another wonderful couple who makes me sick. Yeah, but if you were going to try something at a great price point and some really wonderful folks, I'd go Samar.
I would say Dawkins Aroma. Again, I love the price point. Everything they have is under $100, and they have more than just perfume. They have body oil. They have like a deodorant cream type thing. They also have candles. I love their candles. Their pink cotton candle is like the perfect balance of fresh and sweet at the same time. What else do they have? Oh, they just came out with body lotions. And one thing that I also love is that even though they're a small black-owned brand, they have samples. And their samples are like 5 mils. You're not seeing that anywhere else. Yeah. And it's not a crazy price tag or anything. And I also love seeing how the brand has grown and everything like that. Seeing from them having like less than 5,000 followers, they probably have over 20,000 now, and everything being sold out all the time. Like, I really love that for them.
Yeah, you've really convinced me on that. I definitely want to get my nose on some of their fragrances, and you talk about them so much.
I love them.
And there's so many scents specifically that you've talked about, and I'm like, oh, that sounds like my speed. But I haven't seen them in any like perfume shops near me or anything.
Oh no,
so
they're
like,
only online. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
hopefully maybe one day they'll be in stores places. I would say my favorites: Vanilla Pearls. Really love that one. Pink Cotton.
That's
really
the one that I really want to smell. Pink Cotton.
I love Pink Cotton. It smells like laundry sheets and cotton candy in the best way possible.
That's Zoe.
Like, it sounds like some people don't want to smell like laundry
Caramel
sheets.
glaze is so good too.
Huh?
The caramel glaze is their version of Lyra. It's their version of Lyra, and they have a body oil as well that smells really good.
I need that.
Yeah, those are like two of my favorites.
Okay, I know you don't, and I know you don't like bananas, like, or not bananas, but the super gourmandy. But they had a bananas brulee.
I love that one.
That I like to layer with a fragrance that I have that has banana in it too, and it smells really good together.
Something I've noticed is the use of brands are beginning to catch on to the notion of diversity in fragrance modeling and in fragrance marketing. So like Adetta catches the Valentino Donna Born Roma, and I think that no one else should ever be allowed to wear that pink color ever again after she wore it. Right. I don't know if I see the same representation in content creators. It's mighty white.
Yeah, it is.
But I watch Black-owned brands pour back into the community that built them.
Yeah. Oh.
And I see lots of, non-Black-owned brands sort of take it as due. Of course you like this. Yeah. Why would I pay attention to it? Is there a piece of advice you would give to marketing reps or brand people listening to this? I'm not asking you to sell it. Is there anything you'd say to them?
I think they already recognize our value, right? Because we're always first in line when it comes to a PR or something like that. But when it comes to like paying people for their time or like campaigns or trips, I feel like we fall short in their list all the time. So I would just encourage them to really think about what they like about us if they want to send us the stuff in the first place, and really be responsible in who you're giving the benefits of actually being paid, going to campaigns, shoots, trips, and all of that.
Yeah. I even noticed too, like what you were saying in terms of like the brand trips and things like that. A lot of times the type of influencers that they pull for these type of things typically don't even apply to like whatever the niches that they're flying them out for. Yeah. Like they're just famous or they just have a lot of followers. And I feel like a lot of times we see like, launch parties for different fragrances, and it's just content creators or influencers or whatever you want to call them, but it's not even people who are a part of Perfumetok or YouTubers or whatever the case may be, and they don't have, and not to say that you have to have these lavish collections, but it's people who are not even as passionate about fragrance that are going to these fragrance launches, and it's like, hello, what about us? Like,
yeah, I feel like for me, not that it kind of feels like a slap in the face, but at the same time, it's like if we're good enough to get PR or good enough to sell your product, why aren't we good enough to be invited to these things? Why aren't we good enough to be paid all the time?
Yeah.
Like, why don't we have a seat at your table at these events?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Do you think there are brands that are?
Oh, yeah. I think now it's like 50-50 because sometimes it's a laziness thing. The brands host events and they pass off the event itself to like a PR company, and the people that run the PR companies, they just know they need to invite influencers.
Yeah.
So they just invite influencers, and a lot of them are young college kids who are interns, and they invite their favorite influencers. They don't care if that influencer necessarily applies to that niche. They just want Alex Earl there, or they just want, you know, whoever there.
Yeah.
I think it's lazy because I think you should have a little bit more hands-on with your planning, especially if you know you send PR to a certain kind of person, like people.
Right.
But I think it's like 50-50 with laziness and then also like just not caring.
Yeah.
It's really split, honestly, because it's not always just, well, they don't care about us. It's the PR companies that they use to organize these events that they don't even know. They just know Juliet has a gun or whatever is having an event, and we need to have influencers there.
And when you're done, can I say something? Because this kind of goes to the fact of like having people who look like you work in those high positions in influencer marketing, everything like that. Because, for example, like you said, it's a college intern who's inviting their favorite influencer, and they're white. Their favorite influencer is probably just another like popular white girl. You know, they're not thinking of inviting people of colors. That's why you always need people who look like you, who also are working behind the scenes in these spaces as well.
Can I ask you a question though? Like and this is just like hypothetical, if you saw these events going on and you saw Black creators there who were not fragrance influencers too though, isn't it still just the idea that like fragrance influencers who are really moving the products are not being in these rooms? Because I often see events where there are Black creators. Like actually I'm not going to say which brand. There was a brand that hosted a brand trip a couple years ago, and they flew a bunch of people to Paris, and I noticed like, oh, there are Black girls here, but like none of you guys talk about fragrance ever. Like you are. And so I just thought to myself, well, I'm glad there's representation, but then also like this is a strange move for a fragrance brand to not invite a fragrance content creator at all. You know?
Because when I think about it, those people are going to post about that fragrance and that trip while they're on the trip, and then after that they're not going to talk about it again. So like, think about the investment.
So it's like, do we want the diversity, or do we want like the representation within our niche?
I mean, I think the diversity still plays a role too, though, because when you think about like fragrance exhibitions and things like that, and then you have companies that invite people out and like, oh yeah, we'd love to have you here, but don't want to cover flights, don't want to, pay to get you there. And then the white influencers, they're getting everything paid for. And so I think, just like you said, it's definitely like 50-50, but I think that it definitely plays a role. And again, it depends on what kind of situation we're looking at, as opposed to like, obviously the fragrance expos, that's going to hit a little closer to home, and it's going to hurt a lot more, because it's like, this is literally within our niche. You see people as being worthy of simply extending an invitation, but you don't see them as worthy enough to, have expenses paid for, or making it easier for them to be a part of what you have going on.
It's like, but brands, like, they don't, it's like, well, we know you like perfume. Everyone likes perfume. So it's just like, well, we'll invite you to the event.
But I mean, maybe that's why we see that gap, because of the fact that, with makeup, we can acknowledge that it does take skill, whereas with fragrance, it doesn't. And so a lot of times, because it's something that's so easy to do, people will take our advice, but then not credit us.
I'm going to challenge you on that one, because I personally feel as though describing fragrance is a skill.
That is definitely a skill.
When you see that the girlies that they take on these trips, they cannot give you anything.
No, they can't.
You're giving a whole
good. So good.
Giving a whole lot of nothing, but to be able to break things down in a palatable way so that a viewer can understand the scent is a skill. And that's who you would want to sell your product.
And the thing is, you will never see a makeup brand like Makeup Forever, if they have a dinner launching, they won't invite like people that don't do makeup to their event.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the strangest thing.
It's
so
weird.
why do fragrance brands invite people who don't know perfume?
That's the $1 million question here.
Question that needs to be answered.
If I can make one more point though, because I think maybe you brought it up, or you brought it up, Funmi, another episode, but it's like the idea of fragrance, you don't have to look a certain way in theory for this, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like, they definitely are selling you a certain look when they have these events.
Absolutely. Of course, we do notice that you know,
Nishane.
some creators who are a little lighter than us, things flow a lot easier for them. And we also had kind of touched on like accessibility, like and how having money and things like that puts you in a category to be able to grab those launches as soon as they come out. And then, you know, the timeline is very important. If you talk about something as soon as it comes out versus someone who's the 876th reviewer of that fragrance, it's been kind of watered down. People have already decided if they're going to make that purchase or not. And so it kind of, you know, creates this gap in the industry because it's like, you know, a lot of people don't have access to that kind of stuff. Some people
definitely have a leg up, especially when it comes to connections or knowing brands, or I just feel like it's an unfair advantage sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you eat? What do you do?
But that's our story, right? Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And it's like,
no, really, like what would your plan of action be, like, for yourself as someone who's in this space, right? And they're trying to support Black-owned brands, trying to, or become a Black-owned brand, or launching a product. Like, what do you do to take up more space? Like, what do you do for yourself?
That's a tough one. I think that we're all kind of on the journey of still figuring that out. I mean, really just continuing to show up for yourself. And we've all had those days where we've questioned, like, am I even doing the right thing? Am I wasting my time? I don't feel like I'm getting the recognition or the flowers that I feel I deserve. But I mean, it's really just being able to push through. Like, I made the point the other day about Monet McMichael and how I did not know that she had been on YouTube for about 10 years before she really started to get the exposure that she has today. And so being able to recognize that there's other people who have been on this journey, whether it's, you know, whatever their niche is, and that we might look at it as like an overnight success, but not recognizing the work that they had to put in. So sometimes it's just, you know, a little bit of a humbling experience and being like, okay, well, it's just not my time.
Yeah.
Okay. But also, again, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, and that there are these huge disparities depending on the community that you come from, depending on the connections you have, how much money you have. So it's a clusterfuck of a bunch of different things, essentially. Like,
it is.
I really love the idea of not waiting for opportunities.
Yeah.
We mentioned, like, if you are waiting for a seat at the table, you'll be waiting forever. You really have to build your own table at this point. So I think that's why community is so important. And that's really my advice. Like, link up with other creators. I feel like what we're doing here really is like changing a movement in that kind of regard.
What about you, Jade? Because you have a product out right now.
Yeah. I don't know, because I touched on this before. I felt like when I first got like the email about it, if I wanted to do it, I was so shocked, like, why me? And I never thought this would happen, especially at where I'm at right now. Like, I feel like I don't have the biggest following. I'm not the biggest creator, so out of all people, why me? But I felt like with time, like, you just have to stop questioning why me. And if other people are saying yes, you need to start believing that. And I think you just have to keep believing yourself. When you start telling yourself that you can do it, then you'll actually start doing it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I get stuck between two things, which is spending time with you all and being generally aware. What I am always shocked by is the emotional resilience you are all required to have, because this isn't something that you can professionally separate. It's a piece of your soul. But I'm also aware that there's a very white tendency to try to swoop in and save the day, to not only appropriate a cultural standard, but to appropriate the redemption of that culture. So I like to run my mouth. And while I'm not the best advocate for myself, I'm a ferocious advocate for my friends. And the question I have is, without making you all solve the problem for us, is there something that non-Black creators can do to support, whether it's how you interact with content or what you say or what you share?
I have something.
Yeah, what are the things we can do?
My thing is, I feel like in general, Black women set a lot of trends. So when you see a trend that a Black woman is talking about, or a perfume that a Black woman is talking about, whatever the case may be, when you go reach out to that brand and you know that person is talking about that perfume and maybe they don't have it yet, or if you know they bought it themselves, when you reach out to that brand, maybe mention, hey, I saw so-and-so post about this and this is why I want it. I saw that she bought it herself or that she doesn't have it yet. I would love to like for you to connect with her as well. Add her to your PR list too. Do that. Like I feel like that is such an easy thing to do. And even myself as a Black creator, I do that all the time. Yeah. Especially I do it for other Black women mostly because I know that's where it's important. Right. But it's like if I see somebody else talk about it, or even they don't have to talk about it, but I think they would be a good fit for a brand that I know I have a good relationship with. I know that they reached out to me, but like, hey, they should reach out to them too. I'm going to say that. And it doesn't take for me to see them post a video about it or like a private story or anything like that for me to do it. I just do it. And I feel like some other people don't have that same thing. So something as little as that, when you reach out to a brand, you saw it because of someone else, mention that someone else too. Because it's never going to take away from you. And I don't know if people think that uplifting someone else is going to take away from you, but it's not going to do that. It never does, and it hasn't happened for me. It's never happened for me.
Yeah,
I would say in the same vein, when you see trends that Black women start, even if you are going to hop on the trend too, it takes nothing to credit them, even in your caption. It's such an easy thing.
Yeah, especially when it's like outside of who they naturally are, like doing something that you can tell it's obviously like you saw someone else doing this, and, you know, and then they tend to take credit for it. So
you don't know that song, baby girl.
You don't know that song. Name the artist.
Name 5 songs.
Literally.
I found something that's been useful for me in my journey is also just reaching out and letting them know, like, hey, I saw that you did an event, and I would love to be invited the next time. You know, oh, I didn't know you lived in Dallas or XYZ, because sometimes like it's easy to also just like sit around and wait to be picked, but also sometimes like let people know that you also exist. Like we talked about how there are content creators that have millions of followers that I've never heard of. Like that girl that had the most viewed video on TikTok, this is the one that's like with the Jamaican sound, like the Bob Marley sound.
I've never seen her before.
People were like, oh, 70 million likes. I was like, I've never seen that. I had to like go out of my way to find it. And it's literally the most viral video on the app. Like most people have probably seen it. And so I just like also have to think to myself, there's a lot of, I don't have that many followers, like in relatively speaking to like other people. I'm like, wow, there's probably a lot of people that they don't know I exist. Like, how can I reach out and make that connection and touch base with them to say, hey, I'm here and I'm interested in this.
Put yourself
I have
out
a
there.
PR email. Have you guys seen my PR email?
Yes.
Like, hey, my name is so-and-so. I do, and then just keep me in the loop for any future PR opportunities or events. And sometimes that's enough to put you on the radar.
But I have a question for you. Oh, sorry, you want to go?
Just really quickly, I feel like that is something that's kind of hard for me. Like
I was going to say that.
I don't know, it's hard for me to try to ask for things.
Yeah, I think I was going to ask you that. I was going to say, like, how did you go about becoming comfortable, like, advocating for yourself? Because just like LC said, it's like, I can go to bat for my friends and, hey, they said no tomatoes on their sandwich. But when it comes to me, I'm like, it's okay,
because
fine.
Our non-Black creators do. Like when you told me about how like there are creators that will say, send me 10 bottles of this. And I'm over here like, oh, should I just, if I ask for 2 bottles, like, will I be looking too greedy? Like, and I'm like, oh, they just ask. Like, they literally will say, hey, I live in LA. Can you invite me to the next Rare Beauty event? Like, hey, I'm interested. I use Tarte Cosmetics. Can you consider me for the next Tarte trip? Like, hey, I use NARS. Can you consider me for your next campaign? Like, they literally just ask.
I think it's because there has been a time where I tried to kind of put my foot down with a company. And, you know, once my followers had gone up, my rates had gone up and things like that. And I had worked with this company in the past and they asked me to do a video. And I think my rate had only increased by like $150. It was literally breadcrumbs to this company that makes millions of dollars. And they were like, okay, well, we'll talk it over with the team. And instead they went back and used a video that I gave them in the past and started running ads on that video that they had already paid for literally almost a year ago. So it was such a slap in the face because it was just like, I put my pride aside and was like, you know what? No, I know what I deserve. This is what I'm going to demand, but also asking quite nicely. And it was just like, this is why I don't do this. This is why I feel like I'm almost overstepping boundaries in some way. But it goes back to like how you feel as a Black woman and trying to really penetrate into this. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I know that this would not be a problem. If their rate went up by thousands of dollars and it was some other creator, they would have no issue paying it because, you know what I mean? But it's like it was a slap in the face because they just went and took some content that I had already done for them and ran tons of ads. And I still see that ad to this day. And that was like over a year ago. And they like pushed the hell out of this ad. And I'm just like, this is crazy to me.
And it is demoralizing, but I feel like we have to get used to hearing the no's or not being scared of the no's.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of, what is it? Like, it's this theory where you just put yourself out there in like extreme situations so you can get used to
Exposure therapy.
Exposure therapy, yes. Like, I'm at the point where I'm like, either you're going to say no or not reply, but on the off chance that you say yes, then it's a win for me.
Right.
I'll say one thing that I've like told myself countless and countless times, not even just like in terms of influencing, but everything, the worst they can say is no.
Yeah.
The worst they could say is no.
Nothing at all.
I say this from the perspective of somebody who manages PR lists for some very small niche brands. And Funmi was talking about this. We've had conversations. It's helpful to set your expectations. There are niche brands where the bottles are very expensive and the fragrances are lovely, but they don't have a budget at all. But Funmi's template is the one that I enjoy seeing the most because it's concise and actually helpful. I also see...
Do people use it?
People do use it. I see your template. I see variations of your template. I'd say 3 or 4 times a week across like 3 different sort of brand management situations. If I can also encourage you, the level of professionalism that template exhibits and that you all exhibit is so much more advanced than some of the things that I see that I am not inclined. And if you are hesitant about asking, please know that you're making my life easier. When you reach out to me, part of this is because I only want to work for brands that actually give a damn about incorporating people's stories. But when you reach out to me and say, hey, I'm Khadija, I'm Somali American, this is what I talk about, I would like to be included on your PR list. Do you have any active campaigns? I'm going, fuck yes, that's so cool. Yeah. So in many cases, when you reach out to the right people, you are doing them a favor. As you said, there are people with millions of followers I've never seen. And TikTok and Instagram and the other search algorithms to find creators to include are going to be inherently biased. So also think about pitching yourself. Please know you are doing the people on the other end a favor.
If I could say this, when I was making my PR list for Le Monde Gourmand, they were like, you don't understand that like you're making our lives so much easier for like PR people to try to scout out people.
Yeah.
When we're giving them the people who we think would be a good fit, it makes them so much easier. So it's like, even though it wasn't someone like one of you guys directly, for example, pitching to them, like I'm telling them people, like it makes their having it come to them is so much easier than trying to find other people.
So much easier.
And like in life, like people will reject you. Like people tell me my rate was, I had a brand I worked with and they told me my rate was too high. And I was like, that's funny because someone else paid double the rate last week. You know? And so like somebody will always tell you no.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, you can if you shoot the thing with working like is you can shoot your shot 100 times, but realistically, you will not be able to even fulfill 100 of whatever campaigns that you shoot your shot for. But if you get like 3 of them, like 3, that's still
That's nice.
3% average.
What I'd also add,
3% is even the engagement that management looks at. Like, did you know that like your engagement only has to be at 3% to be considered strong engagement? 8% is outrageously. Is 8% is still, that's 8 out of 100.
I'll also say tell your truth. I'm specifically inspired by you, Funmi, when you were talking about wanting to be on more brand trips. Remember when you made that video and you felt like you weren't? Now you're like on this world tour. But I feel like there is power in telling your truth, and you never know who's going to see or resonate with that.
Who's listening? Yes.
that's a big thing. What I would say specifically when you're sending out pitch emails, I'm seeing a trend. Again, this is why I love your template for me.
Damn, this template didn't even like do that well. It only did like 30,000 views.
I want to see the template now.
Like,
I talk whenever
the template
anybody
didn't do
asks-
that well.
Whenever anybody asks for creator advice from that, I always direct them to that. I'm really not interested in a UGC portfolio. I'm really not interested in a showcase. Lots of people can do that, and they can do that well. Again, I'm coming from a perspective of the standard I set with the brands I work with on this side is if we only have the budget to gift, we cannot expect gift in exchange for content. We can send it, we can hope it resonates, but we cannot, if we can't pay people, then we can't demand content. But tell your truth. Tell me more about who you are. I had a fantastic email a couple of weeks ago from a junior student at, it might have been Clark, who just said, this is my journey, this is what I've come to, this is what I'm interested in. I love that. Show me your capacity to tell your story, because I trust that you can make the content look beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Black women, like honestly, when Jade told me these creators just go out and ask for it, and they're asking for like, I'm like, damn, they asking for that? I'm over here asking for like, please, penny for the poor. I'm like,
Hey, please.
you know, I'm like, I get a scrap, and they're asking for filet mignon. I'm over here like, can I get a French fry? So ever since then, like I was just like, I'm just gonna ask, because I also, you have to set your ego aside sometimes. Like we are like our audience loves us, but like we are really small. Like not everybody knows it. Like I said, you could put Charlie D'Amelio in a room right now and tell me shoot or pick Charlie D'Amelio. I'm like, shit, like where's the tequila? I don't know who she is. You know, and she's like the most followed person on TikTok. So it's okay to reach out and ask sometimes. And also like when you go to events, also to just introduce yourself to people, you know, or ask your friends like, hey, the next time you have an event, can you like tag me in? Like, can you get a +1?
Right.
Because I feel like, you know, we have to like each one reach one.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially like as Black creators, like each one reach one. Like when I put out my Exalte, the first list I put out, it was all Black girlies and Mark. No, like, because I was like, I want the Black girls that have like, you know, this is my audience. Like this is who I am. And I know that if it was any other list, it would be 80% non-Black girls. So I would try to be the opposite. But it's really important that we prioritize ourselves, but also that we say we are okay with reaching out. I exist. Here I am. Now it's up to you to see me. But at least you can't say you didn't know I existed.
Yeah.
Funmi, you've mentioned even just very simple engagement, at least on TikTok. Likes are one thing, but shares and saves are another in terms of driving how the app views your content. I mean, so is it fair to say if you see any of your else content or anybody else who's a Black creator, like it, share it, save it, leave some kind of a comment, like thoroughly engage with it in addition to following it. Is that fair to say?
There's some creators, like especially Black women, if I'm doing something, their video can just be playing. I'm letting it play.
Yeah,
I'm
literally.
doing something, like whatever. Their video is going to be playing just so they can get that engagement, those views, whatever the case is. Letting someone, like, you know, when it shows you in your analytics, like how many people watch the video
and how
through,
long.
I'll be one of those percentages.
Yeah. I think, and also like if you're a creator, like for myself, I know that I try not, like when smaller brands reach out to me, they're like, for me, what can we charge you? Like, what's your rate? I'm like, please don't, because I'm charging Estee Lauder, Lancome, like all these brands. If you're watching this, I'm charging my premium because I know they can afford to pay it, but like I know you can't. And honestly, the money that you're gonna pay me, it's not even worth the taxes. Like I'm just being for real. Like it's not even. So let me do this pro bono. Like sometimes you do things pro bono, like lawyers, doctors, people do stuff pro bono because it's like it's your opportunity to give someone a leg up.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, a lot of times we all rely on the grace, not the grace, but the generosity of a stranger for something, like for promoting, whether it's promotions or just kindness in general. Like I think it goes a long way.
Speaking of generosity, we have a little summer Christmas situation planned, a secret Santa, which we can essentially, we all drew names and decided to gift each other something we thought the other would like in a showcase of our ability to listen and hopefully not have someone end up with a stinker.
So I am so excited to be part of a gifting exchange because gifting is such a fun thing to do to other people that have the same interests as you. Like, you know how annoying it is to give people that don't like perfume?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is not Aqua de Joya. But I showed your videos I took it to the scent room in Dallas. I showed your videos to the team, Zoe, and they saw your videos. I described some of your favorite fragrances. They ran straight to one. And I was like, oh, very ambitious. So I smelled it and it was really good, I think. So I hope you like it. And I added something extra in there too.
Thank you. Are we supposed to open it? Or?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm excited. Oh, it's wrapped.
Ooh.
Fancy.
Bougie.
ASMR.
Right? Sorry, y'all. I'm not very speedy with it.
So for those of you that don't know Zoe, she is our bougie perfume princess. She loves high-end fragrances that smell expensive, clean, fresh. And one of her favorite fragrances is Valea by Parfums de Marly. So I talked about that when I went into the store, and the team at the store is super knowledgeable. They said this is a new fragrance that's been out recently that the store just picked up. And I said, I think that she would really like this. So
What is it called? Tilia?
Talia.
Okay, and this is by Marc Antoine.
Oh, yeah, you got it. Ooh,
How do you say his last name?
Marc Antoine Berra.
The bottle is
yeah, I could tell it was French.
French.
Okay, let's see. I don't want to. I have on Exalté, so I don't want to overpower that.
I'm trying to smell it in the air right
I
now.
smell it already.
Smell it. This is so pretty.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. That is me.
I'm glad you like it.
Oh, that's so good. It's sweet. It's clean.
But there's
It's
more.
feminine. It's soft. Oh, I love it. It's so luxurious. Oh my gosh, this is making my eyes roll.
It definitely was giving like your vibe. You know?
It's
Smell it?
100% me. Yes, that's
Yeah, I gotta
so
smell
good.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's very good.
There's a Christmas to it, but it's still got a really wonderful feminine quality.
Thank you.
Damn, that's
Funmi.
good.
You did excellent, or the
Thank
sick room
you.
did excellent,
Well,
but you did
there's
excellent
there's
too.
still more. There's
Oh, there's another. Okay.
Christmas in July.
one more. So this is because I realized I hadn't updated my mailing list in a while. So this is a very late Christmas gift.
Exalté. Y'all, today I have on Exalté, and I layered it with Julie Mango by Brown Sugar Babe. Their newest one that's inspired by mango skin, and chef's kiss, so good. So I cannot wait. Ooh, I'm gonna do some damage. I'm gonna do some damage with that. Thank
I
you.
do like it. You're so welcome.
Perfect. Okay, so for mine, I'm not gonna lie, I was really nervous because what do you get somebody that has everything? But luckily I saw that Funmi was looking for her perfect strawberry. I got this strawberry perfume from Celery Apothecary. Caitlin, thank you so much for getting this to me last minute, but I got this for you,
Oh
Funmi.
my God, thank you. Source. You know what? It's funny because on my last video I said I still haven't found my perfect strawberry. I have some strawberries, but it's not giving that really juicy, sweet strawberry note that I'm wanting. Sometimes they're kind of artificial. And someone had suggested this in the comments, so let's find out. Yeah, this is it. This is it. This is so good. Ooh, the juice is dark.
It's dark,
I
and
like
I
that.
love how it's not like an artificial strawberry.
It looks so good.
So
No,
it's
this
juicy and
actually
sweet.
smells so good. It smells really juicy and sweet. Like it smells very, very real. Like it doesn't have that Barbie head. Like sometimes it smells like doll
I
head.
think it was Layla that I've seen talk about that one.
Yeah, no, this
Shout
is
out
really, really
Layla. What a
good.
doll baby.
Well done. I love it.
Yeah.
I wish it was like I need a body butter.
Juicy,
now.
sweet, but not artificial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if she makes body butter.
See, that is what I would use to layer with all my strawberry
pretty.
perfumes
That's
because
really
they're not
pretty.
strawberry enough. Like I would put that with
I like the packaging.
La
It has some
Capitale.
notes inside.
Oh yes, let's
cute.
hold up the packaging. Shout out to Caitlin.
That's adorable.
so cute. I love this. Thank you so much. This is really thoughtful and the perfect gift. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'll do Khadija's. I had Khadija and I got her Aqua Rise because I was thinking of something that she could remember this trip by. And Rise is a tropical fragrance and I feel like it definitely gives Miami. And I don't even have this myself. So I've sampled it before. So I know I like it and I figured you would like it. So I got this for you and hopefully it reminds you of our first season of this podcast in Miami.
This is so nice.
Thank you. I don't have anything from Acro actually, so this is exciting.
I like the tin packaging.
Yeah, the packaging is really,
Yeah.
it's like a lunchbox.
You can definitely repurpose that, make it a sample jar.
That is so smart. I'm gonna do it straight to skin. Yes. Beachy. Oh, I feel like it looks good with this outfit.
Ooh, get that shit on.
Outstanding.
Thank you so much, Jade.
Puff, puff, pass.
You're welcome.
That's
Let
really
me
good.
smell it. Let me smell it.
Yeah.
I don't have it. I need to smell as much as I can right now.
And I've got Jade. So I was hunting around because there was no way in hell I was going to try to get you anything that was already sweeter that you had because you tend to turn me on to things that I never thought I would enjoy. But I know you like your mango. And
My
so
favorite fruit.
I went to Refinery Fragrances. They just opened in Nashville. This is from day 3. It's called Bunny. It is their green mango inspired by the scents of the Dominican Republic.
I love that.
So I'm hoping that it
Wow.
is something
Let's
you will
see.
enjoy.
First of all, I like the packaging. I like
Yeah,
I was
that's
saying
super
earlier.
cute.
I love a glass bottle. This doesn't have the gold, but it's still like chic. I love it.
I'm so nervous
I
right
have
now.
nothing. I have nothing. I'm here. I can spray it.
Ooh, that spritz.
I know.
That's a good atomizer.
It definitely gives the juicy mango, but there is a greenness and like
Let me smell it. Oh.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I did good. Yeah.
But I like this because I don't have a mango fragrance like it.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, wow.
guys wanna smell it?
Yeah, that's-
All
like
my
it.
other mango fragrances I have, all the other mangoes I have are more like juicy, sweet mangoes versus green mangoes.
This is like very
really
like
nice,
a
yeah.
unisex kind of mango
exactly,
vibe. Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
gives, it's more of a luxurious mango.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this dinner tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a Lux mango. It doesn't smell juvenile or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also, while you're smelling, I just want to brag on Jade for a second because I don't know a more loyal or earnest or kind person. I post weird Star Wars shit, and I can rely on Jade to be the first person to like it. I know, and sit through the whole video. I'm like, God bless Jade, but what a wonderful human, and I was so happy to be able to get you something that just I hope you would enjoy.
I'm a crybaby. Stop.
We love Jade.
And I have LC, and I feel like shopping for her is very difficult because she says that, what do you say, like the sugar daddy that you can't get, or
Yeah,
the sugar daddy
I want to
that-
smell like your own sugar daddy.
Yeah, so it's like, I feel like this fragrance has a lot of sex appeal. I mean, aside from its name, but it has that masculinity in it that you like, and it's like this leathery nuance. And so I just felt like it definitely goes with your vibe.
So this is the Charlotte Tilbury More Sex. Which
Yes,
I-
and it's new right now, but by the time you guys see this video, it will not be new.
Spray me for more seduction. Wait, she wrote these. Hold on, sensual, bold, and woody for the senses. It's a car. Charlotte went and wrote a whole damn sonnet. All right, enough with that. I gotta smell this.
Darling.
Darling, yes, darling. Okay,
Wow.
I love this. This is like something I'd steal from Stevie Nicks' closet. All right, nice.
Which bottle?
It's like a potion.
Oh, I dig it.
Love potion.
Sneak a spray.
Oh hell yeah. You know what?
guys wanna
I
smell it?
didn't know because I know she launched these. That is really
Ooh, wow,
impressive.
This is.
I want to smell
Bold.
on you.
Yeah,
You
it's
say
bold,
that your
sexy,
skin.
Is there leather in that? Is there leather in it?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely
There's some
leather.
ember to it. What it smells like is really good, like riding leathers, like a motorcycle jacket. But you've been to a bonfire. You hit the nail on the.
Yeah, I'm curious to smell on you because Elsie says that, like, things sweeten up.
so
And this is
sweet.
very, like, unisex, not overly sweet. It is sweeter on Elsie.
Let me
It is sweeter on Elsie.
Oh yeah, it is. But it has this smokiness that's very seductive.
Ooh, that is. Thank you so much. That's delightful. Oh my gosh. We also have some scent superlatives, some things we think the best of, most likely to, things we think you should definitely check out.
All right, starting with the first category, most likely to get you folded like a lawn chair.
Who goes first?
Let me think.
I'm gonna say creme de la creme, brown sugar babe.
Mine would be Fire at Will by Jovoy Paris.
Mine would be, I'm not saying it got me folded like a lawn chair already, but according to research, Nota Sugar by Ulika.
That's a new one too.
Girl,
Mine
mind your
is
business.
Not too much.
Escapade Gourmand.
Okay.
I can't deviate from what lived experience has taught me. Kismet olfactive tuberose tantra.
Oh, I'm taking notes.
I'll send you a decant.
Write this down.
Yeah, please.
Next category is most likely to get you a promotion at work. We'll start with Khadija.
I'm gonna say Bashiami by Bugari.
I'm gonna name two. It's gonna be Aventus for her and YSL Libre because I think it's two different types of boss women.
I'm going to go with least studied because, first of all, studied is in the name. You're doing the work you're supposed to be doing, and it's like a very pretty pear and Brett, not offensive. Like everyone in the workplace likes you, basically.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a slightly different direction just because I think there's something nice about owning and stepping into your power, and that is what Sarah Baker Leopard does. It is right on the line of enticing and intoxicating, but still quite chic. It's you wear that, and either you already are powerful or you will become by virtue of wearing it.
Love that.
This is a very recent favorite as of 48 hours ago that I think will get me into any room I ever want to be in. But Victoria Beckham,
Yes.
Portofino, 97.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
can't tell me I'm not. It's like I'm not cashing the checks.
Yeah.
I'm the one that writes your check.
Hello?
Next category, most likely to get you chased down the street. I mean, we all want to be chased.
Okay, I have one. Well, I might have two. All time Arabian's Tonka by Montal. I love that one. The compliments I've gotten in the club, like just anywhere I wear it, and it's a beast mode projector. And if you want to be chased, people have to smell you.
Yeah.
And then another one I will say, another one is vanilla powder. This one I got relatively recently within the last few months. Yes, I have the big bottle at home too. It's a beast mode fragrance. Every time I wear it, I get compliments. It will last on your clothes even after you wash it. This will get you chased down.
Ooh.
For me, it is Royal Amber by Orientica. That is my most complimented fragrance in my whole collection. And it's supposed to be a dupe for Erbapora, but I personally think it's better and a little sweeter and a little like that sharp musk is a little more toned down. So that eats every time. People chase me around stores like
I
clockwork.
smell the vanilla powder right now, and it smells so good. It's like
Oh my gosh, that's
coconut,
so good.
vanilla, musk, Palo Santo. So luxurious. This layered
is.
with the new mango with Bonnie.
Oh.
Amazing.
This smells like
Doing
you're
that tonight.
on a vacation in Cabo and you have on like these obnoxiously big sunglasses and like white linen, and it's just like a rich bougie woman who's so happy to be out of the office.
I would say,
It's an imagery I like.
I like
ooh,
it.
that smells really good. I would say mine is kind of oversaturated online, but in real life, the people can't get enough of Nishane 100 Silent Ways.
Yes.
It is going to get you stopped, if not multiple times a day, every single day.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say the one that I frequently get the most. Actually, no, just recently, Peach's Revenge
Yeah.
by Sarah Baker.
Sarah
I
Baker knocks
got that
out the
back
park.
in February or March during Exons. And since I've worn it, there's never been a time that someone hasn't made a comment, whether it's in my Uber, whether it's at an event, whether it's in the elevator. Like, oh my God, you smell so good.
She puts
It's
some
an X-ray,
captions
so
on.
you're definitely going to smell it down the
I
street.
layered this one with Pestilence Use. I've done it a few times. It's so good.
It sounds like it would be an amazing combo.
Yeah.
Mine is something I have maintained. Like if I had to be winnowed down to exactly one fragrance, it's the only thing I would wear, which is Arquiste Misfit. It is ambrette, carrot seed, and patchouli, and it doesn't seem like it would work, but it's like the sisterhood of the traveling perfume. If you put it on, it works. I get the best compliment I can possibly get for that, which is you smell good. I've never smelled something like that before. I don't know what Rodrigo Flores would put in that. I don't know what Carlos did to. Rodrigo's is a doll. He's a doll.
Oh my gosh, I love him.
But yeah, the Arquistes, any of the Arquistes, the runner up there is Poe, which is a skin scent. I've got to get you a decan of, Zoe, because it's so good.
The next category, most likely to get you ate up. We'll start with our resident ate up girl, Jade.
I would say shameless plug, Pestilence Use would be. It smells edible. It smells lickable.
Yeah.
Ankle sprayable. It is. It's yummy.
Ooh.
And I have put this to the test over the past year since even trying the mods. It's been through some appointments,
Oh,
Hello.
and
a resident appointment girl,
It did what needs to be done.
Dr. Jade.
I actually got put onto this from Funmi. Wave Child is so good. It is such a realistic, juicy watermelon. I'm obsessed. This will definitely get you ate up.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
For me, it's going to be Cruz del Sur 2 by Zerjoff. And it is a delectable, sweet mango that does have like this green characteristic to it. But the sweetness of that tropical, like guava-like mango quality is just out of this world. And although it's not like it is gourmand, but not as gourmand as like an Escapade gourmand. But that's going to do it every time.
I don't want this to be my answer, but I have empirical evidence that it's gentle fluidity gold. I don't want it to be gentle
That's
fluidity
the wifey
gold.
perfume.
Yeah.
But
it's
it is.
beautiful.
It's like it is not just like the ate up perfume. It is like a marriage proposal at the
Yeah.
end of it.
I was
they-
thinking about that one for the
Yeah.
Most
Boss
compli-
Woman one.
I was
Or
thinking that for most complimented or something.
Oh.
I think it's something to do with the performance, but also just it's just unfortunately just I have a thing about paying that much money for a vanilla.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have to.
But it's a unique vanilla because
It's
it's,
a
not
really
necessarily gourmand. It's like that ambery, golden, like very sophisticated take on vanilla.
There's a benzoin element in there
Yes.
too. It's good. It just
It
smells
is.
good.
Yeah, that'll get you a promotion at work.
I think mine is my unlucky fragrance. I don't know if you guys remember I told you about a fragrance I've had that has broken twice, but it's so freaking good. And it's called Helwa by Awaz, or Awaz by Helwa. And it has vanilla coffee. It has vanilla, caramel, amber, and toffee. It smells so incredible. It smells kind of similar to Vaniclia by Mazzolari, but it's a little bit airier. Like the toffee note's a little more pronounced, and it's an ankle sprayer. Like I'm about to buy my third bottle and just.
Remember how that smelled? I'm gonna look it up. Or
It's
not
in-
smelled, spelled.
So I can actually tell you, it's the fragrance is called Awaz, and it's AHWAZ. Oh, the brand. Oh, it's
Awaz
actually called
Helwa?
Helwa. It's
I
Helwa.
see
It's
it.
called Helwa by Awaz.
I found it. I found
But yeah, it's like it's so good. Like I'm about to buy it again, and I'm gonna bubble wrap it so it doesn't break. But I think third time's the charm. Final category, most likely to not break the bank because we love a budget-friendly baddie. We'll start with LC.
There are 3 that I think you should check out brand-wise. Number 1, Kumba Made. You can go to your local Whole Paycheck or wherever the Crunchy Granola Moms shop. They'll probably have a full set. They sit at about $12.50. They are delightful. Tunisian amber paste is a dead ringer for Muscat Jour. And if you don't want to pay $2.45 for that, that's a great option. Another one I'm very, very fond of is the Gallivant line. Really sweet guy, inspired in a really informed way by different travels. If you want to smell like sort of the nicest, cleanest wasabi note, which I didn't even know could be a thing, Tokyo is a favorite.
I remember liking Akra.
Akra's a really pretty leather, and those are $95.
Oh, that's a good price. So everything will be under $100.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say to give a brand Le Monde Gourmand $25. You can't go wrong. They have something for everyone. They have some more fresh scents, some skin scents. They have gourmands, of course. And then also, if you really like gourmands, the packaging is not my favorite, but Kais. Like, I love me some Delicity marshmallow, and I also really love Cocoa alla Vaniglia because it has that cocoa butter coconut vanilla, and I really love that one in the summer. And even just wearing to bed because it's so comforting. I feel like cocoa butter is such a comforting note for Black women.
Yeah,
like, I
for
love
sure.
it. So,
Yeah.
it's like Kais.
Yeah. This is under 100, but it's a little closer to the pricey end. I think it ranges about $60, but when I first started buying it, it was around like 40, 50-ish. But Turquotic by MAC. I will never stop buying that fragrance. I've been wearing it since high school. It's definitely one of my signature scents. And again, like you said about one of the fragrances that had the carrot note, it's one of
Misfit.
those ones that when people smell it, they're like, what is that?
Turquotic's amazing.
Yeah, it's not an easily pinpointable kind of fragrance the way that you know Baccarat when you smell it, you know Black Opium when you smell it, but Turquotic is fresh, aquatic as the name suggests, and it's just beautiful. Like it has this androgynous unisex vibe to it that's just so clean and fresh. I love it.
We definitely got to give a shout out to the Arab fragrance. It's
Yeah.
always
Oh, for
affordable
sure.
and it's going to smell amazing and not break the bank. I love really anything by Paris Corners. My favorite distributor in the US is Aroma Concepts. So one of my favorite is Tisqueen Peach Tea.
I love
Tisqueen.
Tisqueen.
Oh my God,
I love
so
Tisqueen.
good.
It's
We
all
love a
your
good
fault.
peach.
I ordered that within about 2 minutes of you mentioning. We all
Yeah,
did.
we-
Like,
yeah,
bought it.
literally.
It's all Jade's fault.
All of us onto the peach.
You
All
did.
Jade's fault.
Again, I layer it with Pestilus to make the peach like brighter. It's so good.
I cannot
So
wait.
good for summer.
It's very
I
on
love
brand
it.
of you to make a peach fragrance after you put all of us onto a peach fragrance.
perfect.
The first time we met.
I think for myself, I will go with, if you're looking for a brand at Sephora for under $100, Forever Mood. These bottles are 50 mLs and they're priced at $79. And then they also have travel sizes as well, which is great. Like not a lot of new brands launch a like travel size and a full bottle. I also do love the Arab brands as well. Like one of my favorite brands is Swiss Arabian. Their fragrances are not only like usually under $60, but they're 100 mLs and they last forever.
Yeah.
The first time I sprayed Shock Off Oud, I didn't understand. I had to lay down. I had to sit down. I was like, oh, spray it on the back of the shoulders.
Yeah.
Do not spray this under your neck. You will need to lay down. But you can definitely, you don't have to break the bank to smell good. Like we love that you can smell good at all price points and there's no snootiness at this
Yeah,
table
it's not a bit.
when it comes to a great fragrance.
Smells good.
Smells good. Smells good. Okay, so this is the big awards for the night. Is this like the Oscars? This is our big awards. So for our big award for the night, we are doing our favorite brand of 2024. What was everyone's standout brand for this year?
Brown Sugar Babe.
Brown Sugar Babe.
Brown Sugar Babe.
Do you think I'm going to contradict it? It's Brown Sugar Babe.
I think the Electoral College has agreed. Brown Sugar Babe was the winner. All right, so for the next award, we have Fragrance of the Year. What was the fragrance that stood out as the It Girl fragrance for 2024? Exalte. Oh my God. Wow. How did you know?
Girl, you did that. Please.
Thank you guys so much. And I appreciate all your support. Like, we launched in 2022 and it's been lots of highs and lows. You guys have seen me cry and rage, and it's through it all. You've been so supportive. And I just want to say, I hope to be able to pour into all of you the same way that you've poured into me times 10. So thank you so much. And for the final award, drum roll, please. Best new fragrance.
If you mind, I'll go first. I would have to say Pêche Delicieuse. Clap if you
All
agree.
in favor? Yes.
Wow. Well, thank you all so much for attending our fragrance awards, our first annual fragrance awards.
Refreshments in the back.
Refreshments in the bag, hooch in the fridge, bartender on deck.
Everyone wants a
Hello?
car.
You get
We're-
a car. You get a car.
We'll be Ubering, so we'll be driving safely. But we appreciate all of you, and feel free to submit your recommendations for next year's, and we are open to sponsors as well.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
We're so grateful that you all have joined us for this inaugural series, for what we've been doing. We don't grow our followings without you and your input, so please feel free to drop us a line. Compliments, praise, and questions will be given priority. Critique will be deleted immediately. This is not, we will accept no constructive feedback at this time.
Right.
We're not interested.
Keep it to yourself.
So none of this would have been possible without our sponsor, Brown Sugar Babe. Thank you again.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you, Makeda.
Thank you. We love you.
Wrap.
Okay.
That's a wrap.
Poets.
Yay.